Hey guys, John here from Incomesh.com, and we're going to continue with our experiments of the different page builders and theme combinations. And what I've done here is I have created a fresh installation of WordPress with nothing installed yet. We can look at our plugins. We're using no plugins at the moment. Themes, we're using no themes at the default theme right now. And we're going to go ahead and load up with our Gutenberg plugins and Gutenberg and Astra theme and build out this homepage that I'm using on Incomesh.com at the moment. This is currently using Divi, but we want to see if we can rebuild this as close to pixel per pixel as possible to really give Gutenberg a run for its money. All right, so let's go ahead and waste no time and dive into this one. So first thing we want to do is get our theme going, and I'm using Astra for all of the experiments here. I want to give a good lightweight theme that we'll be able to kind of scientifically test against each other. So we'll go to Themes, Add New. All right, here's our Astra theme. We'll go ahead and install this and activate. Let's just take a look at the website now that it's activated with the new theme. Here's our default Astra theme. So let's go ahead, and because we're using Gutenberg, by default there aren't a ton of a ton of different blocks at our disposal, and I do anticipate we'll have some issues if we try simply the stock Gutenberg blocks. Luckily, we don't have to. And what I've put together is a list of different plugins that are created that have absolutely amazing features for Gutenberg. Each one of these is free, or at least has a free level, and we'll install these for now. There will be some redundancy, so there will be some that we would want to ignore, but let's go ahead and put these on for now, and we'll be able to use that for our testing just to make sure we can get as close to pixel perfect as possible with our model here. So I'll pause the video real quick and install these plugins. Alrighty, we're back after a brief moment, so I'll review the plugin screen here so you can show what I did. I put in the Advanced Gutenberg, Atomic Blocks, Editor Blocks, Cadence Blocks, Otter Blocks, Stackable, and Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. So you can see there's a lot of options here. One thing you have to be careful with, obviously, is just making sure you don't have too many plugins that might conflict with each other. However, if we're going after a page building analysis and kind of looking at how this page builder works, I want to make sure that I don't limit myself when it could just be a simple free plugin to add on. And also, as I was going through most of these installations, for example, if I go to Stackable, I think it will show you, a lot of them have really good instructions, dashboards as you're going through, just to make sure you're familiar with it. They also allow you to configure and remove individual blocks if you don't want certain things as you're going into it. But overall, a very, very useful and easy to use installation process. Okay, so now let's go ahead and take one last look at our model here, what we're going to go and build, get an idea, and let's go ahead and dive in. So we'll go to our pages here and add new. Because this is the first time using Gutenberg, I have my little tooltip here. I'll get rid of that. I'll first go over to my Astra settings and remove the sidebar and move this to content full width contained. And now we're good to go. So let's name this Gutenberg test. And I'll also disable the title here and save draft. And what I want to do before I really start building, let's just go ahead and just take a quick preview of the page. Okay, so a whole lot of nothing, but this is going to be a great place to build from. I'm going to move this over to a different window just so I can get an idea as I'm building. And let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is create this hero section. And so what's lovely about Gutenberg is one of these plugins, the editor blocks, has what's called a wrapper. And basically that's kind of like a background section from most of the other plugins that are out there. So I'll put that guy in here, and let's go and add my color in first. And I'll just add this orange. It might not be the perfect orange, but I'm not going to grab the actual hex color. That'll work for now. And now let me find that background that has that blue map at the top and add that in. And here we go. So we'll select that as our background. Already we're starting to look pretty good. And what we wanted to have here was kind of like a hero section. It had a picture on one side and our call to action on the other side. And I believe there's a good one for this, which is called media and text. And what's nice about, and again, there's a million ways you could do this. This is just one that I think would be easy enough to do. So let's go ahead and add our picture, and let's make this image on the right, text on the left. And let's add the image of my little hero shot here. Add him in, and let's add our content. And let me try to actually write this out as it should be. All right, that's the headline there. And do I have the ability to change the colors? Color settings, there we go. Text color. Let's just make this white. I think there are additional plugins where you can customize this palette, but I think by default, I don't think this is customizable yet. I'm sure they'll add that in a future release of Gutenberg. All right, let's add our little subtext. So, all right, so I've added the text in here. Now what I'm trying to do is adjust the color of the paragraph. Here we are, text color, white again, and here, text color. So already from a usability standpoint, you would wish, like Thrive Architect and a lot of others have the ability to do outside-in styling, where you can style the container and everything inside the container will have that same styling. Don't think that has it here. Let's go ahead and make sure that we don't have any padding on the bottom side of this hero section here. So I'll select my guy, select my wrapper, and I have 50 pixels of padding. Let's just remove that 50 pixels of padding, and we're good to go there. And let's just see how that first section looks. One thing I don't really like about Gutenberg is it's not really what you see is what you get, because they have these little sections here that allow you to put a block in, but there's not currently a block there. So it can be a little misleading of what you see as you're building. But here you can see we have, I mean, it's not an exact match, but I'm going to go ahead and give that a pass of building that section. One thing I notice here is that we have a lot of padding here, a lot of white space on the top. And that is also probably a theme thing, because this is on Divi. And I know that Astra gives a little bit of white padding, but let's see if we can remove some of that white padding from the top here. So that would be here with our margin settings. We have 50 pixels of margin here. Let's remove that. And let's remove the margin at the bottom as well and save the draft. So we look at we also need to have that button. I forgot to do that button. So we'll come into our section here, and I think I should just be able to add a button. So here we'll add our button, and we'll just give this a white background color with some black text. We'll say learn more. Let's see what other styles we have. Outline it, boxy. Let's do squared. I like that. Advanced just have CSS options. So now we have our button here, and this looks similar to what we had in the original section. So let's go ahead and save this and look at what our next section is supposed to be. Now this is one that could give us some trouble, right? This is a pretty advanced layout. It's one column and then 3 columns with icons and a whole lot of other things there. So let's go ahead and build that in Gutenberg. So what we want to do here is let's add a row, and here we can add our 3-column row. And as part of the Ultimate add-ons, I think this is an Ultimate add-ons, they have this amazing info box module, which is super useful for being able to add a lot of content in all at once, whereas normally this would be like several different blocks you have to put in there. So let's go ahead and do the first one here. We have that little pie graph. So for the info box, we don't want the icon. We actually want to add in an image. So we'll select our image. Here we have my pie graph. And select him. Okay. And we want to call it conversion optimization. We'll skip that. We'll skip this little prefix. Here, the separator, which is this little black line, I don't really care for that. So we'll remove that. And let me see what the text is here. I think I'll just copy this and paste it as plain text. All right. So we have that section there. We also have this read more call to action. So let's see if we can create a call to action. Boom, right there. We'll make a button call to action. We could also make it a text call to action. I guess to be true to form, we'll do the text. I kind of like the button more, to be honest with you. And what's a complete box now? Oh, the complete box becomes a call to action. That's kind of cool. Let's make the text. And I think this is called read more. So we're good there. And we don't need to put a link here for now. We understand how that would work. Let's give it, however, that arrow. We'll just search for arrow, and we'll give it a right arrow. So far, this is a very easy to use part of Gutenberg. So for typography, you can change the font size of different things, as well as what HTML tag we get there. Let's do our color settings. And our call to action color should be themed with the rest of the the page. So we'll make our CTA color orange. And we can even make the CTA hover color a different color. Let's do that. Let's make that a darker orange. I'm not using exact science here, but it kind of gives you a different effect there. Okay, so we have one section here. Let's go ahead and take a look at how this one looks in the front end, and then we can start duplicating from there. Alrighty, so here's how our page is developing so far. So we have this icon here, and because I have only a 720 pixel window here, that's why it looks so close to the edge. But if I were to expand this out, you would see a lot more margin and padding. So let's do that. So you can see it's really covering the width of the page nicely here. So far, Gutenberg is doing a great job of replicating this. A couple things I'm noting here is that there's probably some more padding I need between these sections, and also I need to have that what I love header there. So let's do both of those things real quick. Let's add some padding in that header. We'll head back to our page, and what's nice about here is you can just hover over that row, and now you're back to the single column layout, and we'll do an advanced header. And let's go ahead and center line this and say what I love, center line it. And there is some additional padding, so you can either do margin, some padding here, margin settings, all this. But what I think is even nicer and easier is simply adding a block here. They have spacers, and this is part of one of those packs. I'm not entirely sure which pack it is, but this gives you that drag and drop ability to add. Right now I'm adding 45 pixels of padding in between these, and that sounds about right. Let's just duplicate this and move that guy up above what I love as well. So now I have some spacing in between each section there. So it's pretty easy. Now let's go ahead and make out the rest of these simply by duplicating what we have. So we'll duplicate this info box, and it's as easy as dragging it over to the other column, making whatever tweaks we need here. So let's go ahead and take a look at our model. We're going to do great landing pages here. Great landing pages. Let's get our landing page icon by swapping out here. We'll go to replace the image. Guys, see how easy this is to use? I'm impressed. I thought Gutenberg would be a lot clunkier, but some of these plugins really add great functionality. And let's get our text. Kill it entirely. All right, we have our text here, and then the button again. We can kind of skip over adding the link there. You know what you'd be able to do, just to add that link. So now we have this guy here. Duplicate one more time, and let's get our model. Email marketing. I'm really not struggling to use Gutenberg like I thought I would. Thought this would be a lot harder. Ooh. Just as I say that, I make a mistake. There we go. Your list is your most important asset online. Looking good. So now you have one more row to do. Let me get rid of this guy here. So you could recreate it from scratch, or you could just look up. Now check this out. I love this about Gutenberg. So if I'm somewhere within an area that is like nested inside some rows or columns, you got this little navigator, almost like it's called the block navigator. So you can see I've selected this info box, which is part of this column, which is part of that row. What I want to do is duplicate that row so I don't have to do all the work again. So I'll click on that row, and now I've selected this entire row area. And you can also see you've got some padding options here just by hovering over, where you can drag and drop to add more padding, which is pretty cool. So now what I want to do is just copy and paste or duplicate this entire row. So now we have this entire additional section, and it's even easier for me to make the changes for the next three. So let's take a look at the next row here. Super simple courses. Let me take that text, super simple courses, and let's replace that image with my courses image. And then let's get the text here. Very good. Gutenberg, you're working so well. All right, super simple courses is done. Let's go to, let's see here. What's the next one? Done for you, because I like doing things. We'll replace this image with the done for you icon, which I believe is this kind of blueprint looking thing. Done for you. And don't love the tech. That's okay. Let's take this and adjust it. I know I'm going pretty quick here. Part of that is intentional because I do want to see how long it takes me to actually build this. And then finally, the last one here is use this not. I don't think I actually saved that icon. Let me save that icon. Let me come back here and add it in. Okay, so we have our section here. Let's just save this draft real quick. And let's go ahead and publish this page so we don't have to look at the preview. We're just going to go ahead and update the post as we're done, and we can look at it as we go. So here we are here. This is a Gutenberg test. You can see that additional padding put in there. And here is our what I love section here, which looks really good. I mean, this doesn't look like it was made in the WordPress editor. This looks like it was made in the landing page. So very good. Let's keep on moving on. Let's see what the next section is here. So another 3-column layout with a header on top. Let's go ahead and take this text we're going to need. And let's go ahead and build this. This should be no problem for us since we're becoming very fluent in Gutenberg. Come back to our editor. And let's add another header here. I like the advanced heading option because it just gives you a bit more options in case I decide I need it. And let me paste this text in here. And you could bold it if you'd like. It looks good. And this is probably going to need some additional padding. I'm just going to drag this down a little bit. So we have some additional padding between this row. I could add a spacer here as well, but I've already got an element here that makes it easy to add padding. So now let's go down below our headline and do another row. This is going to be one thing. Let me show you something here. I thought when I found this the other day, I thought it was the coolest thing. So if you're familiar with Brizy, which is a page builder we'll also use in this test, you'll be familiar with this. The idea about importable blocks, where they do all the design work for you, and you can just pull this in. I know that this is not the purpose of the video right now, but wow, you could pull this in here, which would take some work to create, right? You got columns, you got different icons, different alignments, and you can pull it in with one click. Phenomenal. So let me delete that guy because I'm all about doing it myself right now. And let's just add a row layout. We're going to do that 3-column layout. And in the middle column, we want to add that picture. I'm just going to do a /image. And I think I can even drag. Yeah, I can drag an image right onto it. So let's do that. Put my image here and center align it. Let's go ahead and grab the text from here. I've got multiple paragraphs here. Okay, so it worked. It worked. Let me add maybe a space there. And I want to center align this text also. Okay, not too bad. Looking how we should. Let's give this last little bit of text over here. Paste this plain text. And I'll align center as well. I think in this one I'm doing some interesting alignment things where this is right aligned, that's left aligned. But what ends up happening as this gets smaller, the alignment looks weird. I mean, I think center is just smarter when you're doing this, so that's why I'm center aligning the text on the Gutenberg side. Okay, so we have this section here. I think that we probably could have some padding here, so let's add some padding. And let's update the page and see how it looks. Notice how fast it's loading as well. This is pretty exciting. Okay, so we have our section. Oh, one thing. I want to be able to add, just do it the way that I did it originally and add some padding here where this comes down. I think there's 100 pixels I added. So let's see how we can do that. Let's add some padding to this right column. So we go down. It should be as easy as going above this guy and adding a spacer. And let's do 100 pixels of padding. Here's where it's a bit of a downside, especially as I'm using a small screen to edit, is you don't exactly know how much spacing you need. So let me do full screen mode and try to open up as much editing space as possible. And let's go ahead and update this. And let's also see, I think there's another way that I can, here we go, my top toolbar, that should give me some space here. All right, so we've updated the page with some padding. Let's take a look. Okay, very good. So we've achieved what we want, the result we want. This text is small, but that's just because I have the default settings of the theme, and they're inheriting the theme fonts. If I were to go and increase the font size of this type, then it would increase there as well. All right, moving on. So let's see what the next section is. The latest posts. So let's go ahead and make a latest post section. Let's scroll down. So the latest post is first of all going to be a header, bold for fun. And then underneath the latest posts, they have now because I have several different plugins added, almost all of them include the post module or the post block. So you get to pick and choose which one you like, basically. And because this one I'm not going to hold against Gutenberg, this is just a blank website, so I don't have any blog posts here. So we'll go ahead and just say we check the box here because we can add a blog roll, but you'd be able to adjust how many posts you see, how many columns they're shown in, featured image, yes or no, what style the image is in, etc. So that works for me. We'll go ahead and update that one and say we're good on that. Let's keep on going down here because that's basically what we have here. We have a 3-column layout, we have the featured image, we have the text. So anything that's going to be different will just be minor styling changes. There might be a drop shadow on one, not the other, but you can adjust those as you want. So let's go to this next section here where we're going to have a widescreen orange background and a header. So let's go ahead and do, you've got two options here. I'm going to want to do let's do the wrapper. And the wrapper is nice because it just goes full width, it stretches, and it doesn't adjust the container width because, you know, the container is set by your theme, but, you know, the screen size obviously is dynamic. And if you use like the row feature, you can kind of achieve the same result, but there's more tinkering. This one is a pretty easy way to do it. So let's add the orange background. Let's take a look at what image I'm using. I'm using that little icon on the right as my background. So let me add a background image. And let me add this as my background image. So you can see this is a transparent background, but when added to the existing color, you get that effect of it kind of hovering out there on top of the color. You can even, you know, add some coloring and all that to the module if you please. Okay, so we have this. Let's add that heading. I know there's a heading in here. And let me show you some of the other headers I have. I just go to the advanced one because I found it and I liked it. But we have the intro, the header. Let's try this pink header. So here it actually gives you, you know, kind of a call to action, which is cool. Not what I'm going for, but it's a cool item here. Let's remove that block. You've got advanced heading here, which is the heading, a separator, and a subheading or kind of a caption, which is pretty nice. I think we'll use that for something else. But I like my advanced header. And we'll call this answers to your questions. I'm not going to worry too much about coloring, but let's make this white. And now we have these questions and answers. And I think that looks similar to that heading that we just saw, which I think was advanced heading. Yes. So what we're going to do is make this left aligned and put the question on the first section and the answer in the second section. Let's do that together. Paste as plain text. And the answer is going to go here, also in plain text. Okay, so we have our item here. Let's adjust our font color. So we'll do color settings, heading color, white, subheading color, which is the answer, should be. And this is interesting. They have light gray, but not white here. Why would you not include white? Again, I'm sure this will be fixed. Like I'll give it a pass for now, but that's just one of those things that's kind of annoying. And then on the separator, can I adjust the color of the separator? I'm on my background, aren't I? Color settings, heading, subheading, and separator. Boom. So I can maybe do a light gray there, slight difference. Looking good, but obviously I'm missing the row layout. So let's show you how we can add above, between these sections, I'm going to add that row layout. And this is a 2-column layout. So now I have my 2 columns, and I should be able to simply take this little handle and, struggle to find, there it is. Boom. Now I have the exact layout I'm looking for. And with Gutenberg, I don't know of a way to quickly go and change all the colors all at once. So make sure you have, if you're going to do duplicating like I'm about to do here, make sure you have it right. But then we can duplicate and go to the next question. Can I trust you? Which, of course, you guys can trust me. And then let me go here, paste as plain text. This one might be because I have 2 different columns. It might be giving me some troubles. Yeah, it is. Alrighty. Let me do this. Let me just take this first section. Okay, so we have that next one. Obviously, like we could make small tweaks here. This is just little bits of text. So that's our first column. And then the second column, we'll just continue doing the same thing by duplicating, dragging one over, and then get the text. You retired at 30. It's true. If you call this retirement, I do because I love doing this, but actually this Friday, a couple days from now, is my final day in corporate America. It's pretty exciting. Okay, you retired at 30. Done. And then one more duplication. Where do I start? And again, since this is multiple paragraphs, I could, put one in there and then maybe do, if you do shift and enter, it's going to keep you within the same block, but it's going to allow you to add some additional spacing. So you could add whatever you want here. Okay, so we have this section here built out. Now the last thing we want to do is have this button, which is just a single column row. So what's nice is you can, within this wrapper, you can just finish off with another column or another row here if you'd like. I'll just do a button. And here you've got button, advanced button. So let's try a different type of button here. Let's do this button. So you can see you can do ghost buttons, plain buttons, links. Interesting. Let's see what else we have. We have icons you can add to it. So let's add an arrow. Not liking this button. Let's find a different one. So here I'm not going for pure speed. I want to kind of play around with this as well. So let's do the atomic block button. You can do rounded, slightly beveled, button size. Okay, a lot of different options there. Let's try one more button block just to see which one I like. Let's try this advanced button because it's kind of sticking out nicely. You can do the text size, customize. You can customize the background color, which we probably want to do white. Text color be black. Let's say, what did I call this? Ask a question. Okay, so we've got hover settings as well somewhere. So you got hover color settings. Not the most intuitive. You would expect that to kind of be maybe a toggle to say from normal and hover. But all right, so if we're hovering, let's say we want to go a little darker gray and the text color be white. Yeah, I like that. Cool effect. And then you can, even do a shadow color. There you go. Cool. I like it. And then let's go ahead and make sure we centerline this and see why we have so much padding here. Just kind of delete some of this stuff here in case I added some additional rows. And let's make this a little bit bigger. Do text size increase. You can also do padding, which will make the button bigger in effect, but that'll work. Let's update our page and take a look because we just built out this entire section. All right. It's looking pretty good so far. Content. All right. Again, give a pass to this guy because this is just a nature of being a blank website. Answers to your questions. Ask a question. Looking good so far. What is next? All right, the footer section. So here we've got a 3-column layout. Let's do that. Go back to edit the page. On the left side, we'll do a social follow icons, and we'll move on from there. So here we'll do a row, 3 columns, and on the one side we have follow income mesh. Just do a heading, and I think this is an H4 or so because it's not too big. And underneath it we have social share. So let's see here. Social links is probably what we want, and we want to have Facebook and YouTube. Now check this out. I love this. So you can preset the icon color to actually, instead of being its own color, use the same color palette so easily. And then here, I don't want this guy here. I just want to have the 2 social icons. So I have that. But then you're thinking, oh, these are too tiny. So let's increase the icon size. Oops. And that looks good. We could maybe centerline it or do something like that, but you get the picture. Here we want to offer a freebie. So I'll just have an image of the freebie and drag him in. Make sure we center it. And then here we want to do a free course and then email subscribe. Here is a downside. I think this is going to depend on your email provider, but I currently use MailerLite, and I do not have an easy way except for actually taking the short code and embedding the short code, which I have not set up on this blank website. But let's do that real quick here. So on second thought, just being realistic, it's going to take a fair amount of time just to integrate the email provider and each one of these websites and do this. But what I can tell you is you can certainly import your MailerLite or any other ConvertKit service provider and add your form here. So we'll go ahead and say we're done with this page builder here. Let's go ahead and view the final product. So yeah, this padding here is an Astra thing. That's something, let's see if we can get rid of that padding by making it a transparent header. Let's see if that'll push our content up to the top. So we'll go to our Astra settings. Let's make this enabled transparent header. And let's see now what happens. Okay, that kind of worked. That did what I wanted it to do. So now we have kind of comparing side by side. We have this guy is directly up against that's actually really good. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Very good. So we have our header section, which again, minimal time spent styling this, but we have the image lined up correctly. We have the same thing here. Spacing might be a little bit nicer on this version here. Going down to the call to action section or the feature section. Looks like we have a wider content area on Gutenberg. This looks like it's going pretty much full width. So let's see if we can adjust that real quick, just to see how good I am on the fly of making these adjustments. So let's go to edit the page. And the goal here is to just change the structural width of this section. So let's take a look. Make sure I'm selecting my row. I am. You can adjust the gutter, which let's say we wanted to have widest. That would make these smaller like that. That's not exactly what I want. Let's do default. But when it comes to the structure of this area, I might want to have a content maximum width of a little bit less. Let's say, I don't know, let's try with 789 pixels. You know, you just start someplace. And let's see what that adjustment did. Okay, much closer. So let me go back to my model. Very good. So you can see here that we're coming very close to what the Divi model is. And we can do the same thing with this next version here. So I think it was 789. Here is where it would be great to be able to do copy and paste styles, where you could just take that width and move it down. And that's not currently in here in Gutenberg. So you're going to have to be a little bit more flexible and patient. And go down to structure settings and update that. So now let's go and view the page again. Okay, looking through, looking pretty good. Our section here, we could do similar things of kind of making this tighter. And this also has to do with how the themes are set up. On this model here, I customized the width of the container to make it a little bit tighter. And this is set to the default, which I believe is 1200 pixels, which is pretty wide. And then you got your section here, your button, and your 3-column row. Overall, not bad at all. But the real question is, how does this perform on speed tests? So let's go ahead now and go into our speed testing tool, and we'll take this page and let's go to gtmetrics.com. Let me log. Let's just run it like this. Let's see how fast this guy's performing. And I have no caching, nothing installed, just default settings. And right now we're running at 1.5 seconds on the first run. So let me go and log this. And let's see kind of what feedback we get. So far, everything looks happy. Under why slow, make fewer requests, cookie-free domains. Nothing too major. And then if we look at where our time is really being spent, it's really waiting for the connection, and then everything is kind of happening in 1/3 of a second. So let's run one more retest. Okay, 1 second on the nose with only 41 requests. That's great. And so there might be maybe some server-side caching that might be happening to make that even faster, but could just be that things are nicely optimized with Gutenberg. Test number 3, 0.8 seconds, fully loaded. Nothing to complain about there. Speed test number 4, 1 second again. And the majority of that time is simply, Bluehost pinging to the server. So let me put 1 second down. And finishing strong in the 5th speed test at 0.8 seconds. So we'll add that in there. So our overall average of page loads test with all the Gutenberg plugins installed, no caching plugins. Let's just verify one more time. Let's go back into our plugins area and show you what's going on in the back end here. You see we're running the free version of Astra. And on plugins, the only thing that we've put on here are the different blocks that we used in the build here. So let me give you my kind of honest impressions about this. When it comes to build speed, like how fast and efficient I was at going through this, it's kind of a mixed bag. There are some things that make it inefficient, like you can't change the color of one icon or one module and then extend that style all the way through your page. But to be fair, you can't really do that with anything but Divi, to my knowledge. Divi has done a great job, and I think Brizy has some efficiencies there as well. But when it comes to actually making adjustments to the style, you do have to do that one by one. You can obviously duplicate the boxes that you've made, which can help speed that process up, but that's not the most efficient, it's not the most advanced when it comes to copying and pasting styles back and forth. On the other hand, though, because it has the extendability of all the additional block authors out there, like Otter blocks and everything else, you might not have to do that much customization because there are just so many blocks available for your use. You might find one that just fits your purpose as well, which allows you to save time there. So if I'm rating this on a scale of 1 to 10. Oh, the other thing is, because I was in the back end of WordPress and I was kind of working where I'd be able to make adjustments to my page settings or my page attributes on the fly, that was a good workflow for me. It wasn't like where you'd have to kick out to maybe the Brizy builder and you're on a whole new interface, a whole new page. And then if you find something you need to change, you need to, oh gosh, let me go back into WordPress, make the change, go back into the builder, hit refresh to see the change happen. That did save some time there. And just because it's in the WordPress, normal editing experience, you're going to feel more comfortable with it over time because your posts, your pages, everything will be built with the same builder. So when it comes to build speed, I guess I'll give it around a 7 out of 10. It's really not one of those that I can say is the best, but for where it's at, I think it has a lot of really good potential there. As far as building ease, I was incredibly impressed with Gutenberg. I never really felt myself wanting to grab my monitor and throw it across the room. It took a little bit of a learning curve to kind of get used to, but when you unlock some of the abilities like the row layouts, where if you want to make a sales page, for example, the ability to go in and see pre-built blocks using that, I think that was Cadence Blocks was a plugin that enabled that, gives you a lot of things that, like for example, Thrive Architect has their template library, but they're almost more of a burden than they are a benefit because you pull them in and they have so much customization done to it that you're going to spend just as much time editing it back to what you want as you could have if you built it from scratch. Here, the customization options are fewer, but it also makes the building process easier. So I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 when it comes to build ease. What would make it easier is honestly having more features. Like I didn't see drop shadows as I was going through most of the elements. Some of the things I just like from a visual design perspective, as well as some of the extend and copy styles, which I'm sure they'll be able to do in time. So as far as the end result, page speed, I don't know if you're going to get better without enabling caching and other things than 1 second. So I'm going to give that a 10. That was a great job. And so for overall rating, let's just do an average here. 8.3 for Astra Theme and Gutenberg. So we have many more page builders and theme kind of side-by-side comparisons. I hope this was enjoyable to kind of to see the exact process of building and building out something that you could be proud of. Like I think that if we were to look here and go to the Gutenberg test and pull this guy up, I don't think anybody would be upset showing this page off as being part of their website. For being part of the default editing experience, it really does make you consider how important is every last little tweakable nature of your page builder. Is that more important, or is it more important to be using the default, most supported, the most attractive for third-party developers? Gutenberg and the block editor is going to be the thing that all coders and developers, if they're making plugins or they're making page builders, they will have to support Gutenberg over time. However, for example, WP Fusion is a great plugin that I love for membership protection and doing some really fancy things with your, anyways, it's a great plugin. However, when there's a new page builder every single day, the developer of that plugin has to really consider, oh, here's another page builder. Do I want to support this one and spend my development efforts integrating with all these different page builders? Some will make the cut, some won't. That's just the bare naked truth, right? However, he's going to have to support Gutenberg, which he's done and has done a great job. Jack, you're awesome. He'll have to support Gutenberg because every WordPress user is going to be exposed to Gutenberg. It's just the way it is. So from that perspective, I am really impressed and really pleased with how the Gutenberg editor has done. But stay tuned because the next video you'll see from me is testing out yet another combination of either Astra and a page builder or the Divi juggernaut that it is. I'm John from IncomeMesh.com, and my job is to help you find the perfect tools for your next project. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and share with your friends. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.